Okay, so I did a test with my subwoofer before and found out when I switched it on that nothing worked. So I went down to Maplin Electronics, met with a guy named John, who was extraordinarily patient and very helpful. And now I figured out how I need to wire this thing to get it to actually work. So what we found out is, first of all, I was using the wrong kind of speaker wire. So if you remember, this is what I was using before. And if we look at the ends of this, which I stripped off, hopefully we can focus on this in the video. There's actually two wires inside of each of these wires. I've kind of separated them there. So we can see that we have the monofilaments here, and then this inner piece of insulation and a thin wire inside that. So that's what the inside of an RCA cable looks like, which is what allows you to have two channels in each of your RCA inputs. This is what speaker wire should look like. So we have these individual monofilaments here, but all in a single. This is also much thicker. And with the ends of all my cables before I plug them in, what I've gone and done is I take it with my fingers and just twist it around, much like this one over here. Okay, so you can see the difference between those two. And so that allows me to keep those together as I plug it into the various inputs to keep from losing too many of these monofilaments on the ends. So I'll be plugging that directly into the speaker. The next thing is the amplifier needs to be told that it is being switched to the on position. Now there's no switch on the amplifier itself. What does that is this little blue wire here. This is called the remote wire. And in a car, this would go to your car stereo, and so when the car stereo is turned on, it would turn on the amplifier. Now since we don't have a car stereo, what we're going to do is we're going to wire that directly to the positive lead on the power supply, so that when the power supply is switched to on, the amplifier will also be turned on. Okay, so that's this blue wire here. But we also need this positive lead wired to the positive lead on the amplifier to give the amplifier power. Okay? So I've twisted those two wires together here, and I'll be plugging that in here. The other thing that he had me do is I picked up this little multimeter. Okay? Because he told me that this power supply, which we can see right here, is rated up to 3 amps continuous. And if we go over that, we risk burning out the amplifier. However, the amplifier works up to 1,000 watts, and so it can pull a much higher amperage if we're not careful. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the volume on this thing very low when we initially turn it on, and I'm going to turn this multimeter to 10 volts, and right here it's going to tell me how many volts we're pulling. So I'm going to slowly increase it until we get close to 3, and then that'll be our max volume, and hopefully that's enough power to get the Cymatics plate to actually vibrate. So we'll move forward directly into the test now.